Hello, and welcome to Bonus, in which I'll be attempting to go for an entire episode without using the phrase banana hammock. Gameplay this week is of a particularly gory game called Mad World for the Wii, as I am indeed working on the gore-themed video, which hopefully should be out this weekend at some point. I'm aiming for Sunday, but we'll see how things turn out, because it looks like this one's going to be a fairly major production, probably going to weigh in about 16 minutes long, I think. The video title, A Brief History of Gore, obviously steeped in irony. Anyway, Mad World, very interesting, very fun game. Lots of gore, lots of dismemberment and chainsaw nonsense. A lot of fun, although the motion control's a little bit floaty at times. It's a Wii game, what do you expect? Anyway, let's get on to your questions. It's Eric Nes Bihal says, Stu, what is your opinion on the Scottish separation referendum coming up? Do you care? So this is the referendum in which Scotland decides whether it separates from the United Kingdom and becomes a separate nation in and of itself. Now, I live in England, but my parents are Scottish and pretty much my entire family lives in Scotland. So I suppose I do have a vested interest in the outcome. That being said though, I'm reasonably happy to let the inhabitants of Scotland make the decision for themselves. But if Scotland ever were to separate, I would at least like the option of dual nationality, just because I've got family ties there. So that's my personal take on the issue. But as far as, overarching politics and as far as what I think is best for Scotland, I honestly don't know. I'm not a big fan of the London-centric nature of the UK. I would like to see more decentralisation. I'd like to see the north of England have a little bit more power. Like a federated state of counties or something. I don't know. I guess we'll see how this Scottish referendum goes and then we'll take it from there. Assassinator Lord of Sassin says, Stu, are you a tea drinker? Not really, is the answer to that one. In fact, I very, very rarely drink a cup of tea. Generally, I'd rather have a coffee, if that's alright. No sugar, tar. Randy Tanner says, I know you've probably said it before, but final answer on doing the DLC weapons for COD Ghosts. Oh yes, I said on the ETAG 12 episode, this is the final episode, and some people didn't take too well to that. It's like, Stu, you've forgotten the handguns! What about the DLC? At the minute, I'm not really planning on doing any more Ghosts, guys, so I think I'm kind of done with Ghosts. I'm certainly not planning on buying the DLC. I mean, population of playlists is already pretty poor on Xbox One, so the DLC is going to carve it up even further. Titanfall is just 6 short weeks away, pretty much, and I've already got a whole bunch of ideas for one-offs, specials, and just, projects that I want to revisit or pilot. And so while I could do the Maverick assault rifle and sniper rifle, I could do them, I could. It's not out of the question. I don't know, there are other things that I'd rather do. And so I'm going to do them instead. Dosa Sleep says, Stu, in your opinion, why is there a culture on YouTube of viewers thinking that content creators owe them something? I feel that these viewers feel entitled where they should not. A YouTuber, as far as viewers should be concerned, is an entertainer that works for free. They make content that entertains a viewer, but at no cost to the viewer. I mean, to say that a YouTuber owes me would be equivalent to saying to Jeremy Clarkson he owes me because I watch Top Gear. I think YouTube is kind of unique because you've got the comment section underneath each video, and you've got a way to directly interact with the creator. Whereas, with something like broadcast television or cinema, you just kind of present your work and then there's no real chance for reprisal. I think if you did have a comment box underneath every single television show, you'd have people saying stuff like, no, James, stop going on about the Dacia Sandero. We're sick of hearing about the Dacia Sandero. Do some other stuff. Oh, nobody cares about starring a reasonably priced car. So I think the sentiments are still there, it's just with YouTube, they're unfiltered. If you have an opinion, you can just type it in a small box and it's instantly visible across the world. This is simultaneously very, very good and very, very bad. You can get some fantastic feedback and criticism if you know how to read between the lines on comments. You can't please everybody, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes to do what's best for your channel, you have to go against what people think, individuals think. And it can be hard. I mean, I've built my channel up based on Call of Duty content, and Call of Duty is not always going to be around, so I could carry on doing COD content forever and ever, but as COD dies, my channel would die as well. So at some point, you've got to say, guys, I'm sorry, that's it. I'm done with Ghosts, I'm done with COD, I'm moving on to other stuff. I'd love it if you came with me, but if you're not interested in Titanfall, if you're not interested in the other projects I'm going to do, then I'm sorry, we've had fun. It's been good. Check in a year or so, see what I'm doing then. Osprey Pab says, hey Stu, I was just curious about the whole Battlefield 4 money thing. Is $10 for 1,000 views a lot, or not a lot? Or is that about average ad revenue? Advertising revenue is disappointingly poor. I will say that $10 CPM is very, very good. I can't tell you what my CPM is at the minute, but I can tell you if I was getting $10 CPM, Even if that was only on monetized views, I would be a very happy man. EBX Shockwaves says, can you do a Battlefield 4 weapon guide, please? As mentioned, I've only got 6 weeks before Titanfall, so I don't have time to cover every single gun in Battlefield 4. And not to mention the fact that I don't think a weapon guide format would be necessarily the best fit for Battlefield. I'm just going to say it, a lot of the guns are very similar in Battlefield 4. You could say the same about COD, I suppose, but I just don't think a weapon guide is the best fit for Battlefield 4 at all. I think a different approach would work much better. At the moment, I'm either considering a 4-part series for each of the classes, or a single monolithic video which encompasses a whole bunch of stuff in Battlefield 4. I don't want to make any major moves into becoming like a Battlefield channel or anything like that, but I would like to test the waters a little bit and see, what the reception is like on Battlefield 4 content. So we'll see how that turns out, and hopefully I can do some good stuff for it. DHVS Hebidibida says, hey Stu, do you ever let your cats on the bed? As most cat owners will attest, cats don't really have the greatest respect for authority, so it can be hard to deny them access to a comfortable place to sleep. That being said though, 99% of the time, they have their own spots. Ted actually has his own armchair. He sleeps, we've got this cheap IKEA armchair, and Ted has a bed on there. That's where he sleeps. He spends most of his time on there. Bill has his own bed atop a couple of wooden boxes, high up on this plinth. He likes to look down on the other cats. Henrietta has a thing for radiators, so she either sleeps on the back of the settee, alongside the radiator, or in the bedroom just underneath it. So they've all kind of got their spots, and that's generally where they sleep. But sometimes, yeah, they do end up on the bed. I know some people, hygiene issues, Stu. Hygiene, they're disgusting, they sit in the litter tray. Yeah, I know, but what are you going to do? Put a sign on the bed saying no cats allowed? They wouldn't pay any attention. I don't stand for any cats on the kitchen surfaces, however, but they tend not to go up there, so we have an accord. Hanan GT says, Stu, as somebody suffering from depression, what is your opinion on the general state of today's generation's mental health, substance abuse and self-harm? Furthermore, have you ever thought about volunteering for a self-help hotline, as your voice is quite deep and soothing, not in a gay way? Do you ever think it would be something you would consider? The whole topic of mental health is kind of a taboo thing, really, isn't it? Everybody's expected to be, normal and happy, but I don't think anybody really is. I mean, most of us are functional human beings, but to say that we're always in the perfect state of mind, I think would be a lie. Anyway, it's quite a dark topic, so I probably won't venture too deeply into it, but there is definitely a culture of shame over mental health issues and addiction and stuff like that. As far as working on a self-help hotline, that must be tough. It really must be tough to do that. I don't think I could do it myself. I have quite a dark sense of humour, which would probably end up getting me in trouble, and I'm not sure if my empathy reserves really would be sufficient. Like I say, it must be a really tough job to do. Vissois says, I'm pretty sure White Death had a submachine gun, Stu. Looks like your one-gun sim will need a different protagonist. Well, yes, you are technically correct, which is the best form of correct. Alright, I still think again that could work, where you have a relationship with your guns, and they each develop wear and stuff like that. I think it could still work. Let's amend it to a one loadout sim. There we go. Really, I just want an FPS where guns aren't these disposable things that you can pick off the ground and then toss old ones. Edgar Bin Larsen says, sorry to tell you, but the Finnish sniper you were talking about is a fake. It was a division of 50 to 100 men, mostly Estonians, who surrounded Russian forces and shot them one by one. I know because my grandfather was in the Winter War, and his squad managed to capture one of them on the way out. Since the Red Army let only one of them live, silly Finland rewarded him with the kills. Well, now I don't know what to believe. Someone is very wrong. And I'm not saying it's you, but it'd be nice if there were some reputable sources. Matthew McMillan says, why don't you post these videos to your main channel? We get more view, which means more dollar. Well, you're not wrong. I probably would make more money off the bonus videos if I did post them to my main channel. But the bonus videos have never really been about the money. I like having my unscripted videos on a separate channel. It keeps my main channel cleaner, if you know what I mean. All of the videos over there are scripted, well organised, and well presented, whereas here, things are a little bit looser. I don't mind if I stumble over my words a little bit, if there's an awkward pause from time to time. I can make funny noises like that, it doesn't matter. The bonus videos are also a useful reflecting tool. They allow me to connect with some of my subscribers, answer their questions, and there's a dialogue, and I get a better idea of where you're at by reading the comments. So, I'm happy enough to keep Ahoy Xbox going for the bonus. That's all it's really for. The occasional Let's Play video as well. Why not? Harry Likes COD says, £1 million or 1 million packs of beef jerky. This is actually quite a difficult question, because a pack of beef jerky is worth a few quid. In fact, if it's a large pack, you might be paying up to like £6-7, which equates to £6 or £7 million worth of beef jerky, which, on the face of it, sounds better than £1 million. But then you think to yourself, what would I do with that much beef jerky? I couldn't eat all of it. Maybe I could resell it. And then you think, well, you're laden with all this stock, you're going to have to sell it off cheap. And so my answer would have to be £1 million, with which I could buy as much jerky as I would ever want and still have plenty left over. T. Greg says, you say you can't assign a new meaning to the word gay because it already has an established meaning, as homosexual, but the use of the word gay to describe a homosexual person was created in exactly the same way as you say is impossible to do. As I'm sure you know, gay already had a well-established meaning as meaning happy, long before it was adopted to describe homosexuality, and so the situation almost exactly mirrors the previous. To clarify, I didn't say, or at the very least I didn't mean, that you can't assign new meanings to words. What I was saying is you can't assign a new meaning to a word and expect to erase the old meaning of the word. Context is everything when it comes to language. And, you can say that in a certain context, gay doesn't mean homosexual, and that's fine. You've just got to be careful in your use of language to make sure that you stick within the right contexts. Take 4chan, for example. It's an anonymous forum where everybody sheds any shred of sensibility, and people can say incredibly offensive things. But it's okay, because it's part of the culture there. It's the context within 4chan that you can get away with saying slurs. This sort of thing is so rampant on 4chan that, well, a key homosexual slur is basically taking on an entirely different meaning. And that's okay. But you leave the stuff you say on 4chan on 4chan. The second you take it into the real world, you're in an entirely different context. The second you take it into a forum that's not anonymous, you're in a different context. Anyway, I don't want to get too preachy. I'm just saying, words have meanings, and you can't erase those meanings on a whim. The Killer Donut says, with the G+ integration to YouTube, doesn't that allow you to change your username, unless you like the popularity of the Xbox Ahoy name? I could change it, but I don't really want to. I'm kind of stuck with my current URL, youtube.com/Xbox Ahoy. So for the sake of being easier to find, I might as well leave it as it is. There's nothing wrong with the name Xbox Ahoy. It does identify me as a gaming channel, and there's a platform bias, but we can live with it, it's fine. It's me, James AJ says, whoa, are you implying that Borderlands 2 is a bad game? Getting a good gun and having to find a new gun after a couple of levels is actually pretty fun. You gotta work for the good guns, and I like that the guns are just randomly created by an algorithm within limits. Then again, it's your videos and opinions, so... Whoa, calm down. I didn't say Borderlands 2 is a bad game. In fact, I like Borderlands 2. I was just saying Borderlands 2 is not the best game in the world because of the number of guns it has. I'm just saying the number of guns is not a reflection on how good a game is. Also, Titanfall feels and looks like Call of Duty with jetpacks and mechs, in my opinion. Done and tried before. Well, it's okay to be cautious about a game that hasn't come out yet. I mean, it hasn't come out yet. Titanfall may yet turn out to be a really disappointing game. That being said, it's not always what you do, it's how you do it, and it seems as though Titanfall does what it does very well indeed. So I'm optimistic. The proof is in the pudding, and like I said last week, I'm willing to take a chance for at least a month or so with Titanfall, so we'll see how it turns out. Jack B asks, hey Stu, have you ever broken any bones? If so, which ones and how? I've generally been very lucky when it comes to breaking bones. I've only broken one. If I remember, I think I was in Sheffield, if I remember correctly. This must have been back in 2001. I remember quite clearly having a cast on September the 11th. So it happened in the summer before then. So I was in a nightclub in Sheffield. I wasn't really that drunk at all. I'd had about 2 beers, maybe 2.5 equivalent. I went upstairs in the nightclub. I was looking for someone, I think, and then, well, they weren't there upstairs, so I came back down. And there were some girls sitting on the stairs. I had to go round them, but the stairs were very steep, quite slippery. I think someone had spilled something. I slipped, went forward, landed on my left wrist, and, well, I broke it. Of course, I didn't realise that at the time. I thought, oh, my wrist is a little bit sore. My vision's a little bit grey around the edges. I'm going to go and sit down for a little while. And so I did. I sat down for a few minutes and I thought, oh, this wrist pain, it's not like a normal bang on the wrist sort of pain. I think there's something definitely wrong there. And once the grey fog in my vision passed, I went up to the bar and I said, excuse me, I think I might have broken my wrist. And the poor bartender kind of looked at me blankly for a short while and said, would you like me to call you an ambulance? And I said, yes, that would be splendid, thank you. So I was taken to the hospital. They gave me a temporary sling and, a splint for it. And I spent the next couple of months with a cast on my wrist. Unfortunately, I lost my summer job as a result. I was working in the biscuit factory at the time, and well, you can't really do manual labour with a cast on your wrist, so unfortunately I was fired, and then 9/11 happened. Not a good summer, if I'm honest. And that's the story of my only broken bone. Never been back to Sheffield since. Not because I have anything against Sheffield, just because I've never really needed to go. Adam Smith says, "Hey Stu, with Titanfall coming out soon and everyone foaming at the mouth for it, I think that YouTube will get boring. Because everyone will be playing it and everyone will be uploading it. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited for it too, but do you think YouTube will overdo it?" YouTube? Overdo it? Oh, I don't know about that. Sadly, it's kind of the nature of the YouTube gaming scene, isn't it? It's kind of a gold rush whenever something new and exciting comes out. As many people as possible all kind of pile on and try and cover stuff. So yeah, pretty much as soon as the release day hits, within minutes there will be hundreds of Titanfall videos, thousands of Titanfall videos. Loads of people clamouring for YouTube fame with forced enthusiasm would be like, "Hey guys, I've got the latest Titanfall gameplay for you." And all these videos will be pretty ghastly. But I don't want to compete on timeliness. This is something I'm trying to get away from. You know, it's good to be timely, but you don't have to be on the minute timely. First week, first few days, normally fine. This is why I like doing stuff like the retro content, because it's not timely. It's something that you can do whenever you like. There's no rush. I am really hoping I can find a format that isn't dependent on novelty, that still attracts large view counts. That'd be really nice. That'd be the perfect blend for me. Even if it's high effort stuff, even if it's hard to do, that's fine. I don't mind a bit of hard work. I just want something that's popular. So that quest continues, but, you know, stuff like Titanfall, if there are people playing it, if there are people excited for it, then, you know, I'll cover it, and I'll no doubt get some views on that front. And hopefully for a few months I can establish myself as one of the definitive Titanfall guys. But, as ever, we'll see how it pans out. Roger Toledo says, "Stu, just wondering, how old are you?" "I am currently 31 years old, coming on 32 next August." Roka Soka says, "Hey Stu, will COD Ghosts be the last COD game you upload weapon guides for?" Answer not clear at this time. It could be, but maybe the next COD game will be brilliant and everyone will play it and it'll all be fantastic. Maybe, and then I'll probably cover it. Why not? Maybe I'll cover the next COD, but it won't be comprehensive weapon guides. Maybe I'll just do a short series for it. That probably seems like the more likely outcome, but again, it depends. As we get closer to the next COD's release, I guess we'll find out where my channel is, where the game is at, and we'll try and find a solution that works out at the optimal level. Mr. JRDX says, "Have you ever changed or used a different gamertag than Xbox Ahoy?" In fact, I have, yes. The more attentive of you might have noticed that I used the gamertag Modern Life, way back in the earliest Modern Warfare 2 guides. That was my original gamertag. It's actually the name of a blog I used to run. At some point, when my guides were starting to gain momentum, I eventually stumped out the 800 Microsoft points and changed my gamertag to Xbox Ahoy. And, well, the rest, as they say, is history. Chaos1 says, "Stu, what do you think about Vocaloids and the technology behind them?" We're talking about, like, the virtual Japanese pop stars, aren't we? Like Hatsune Miku or whatever she's called. I'm not, like, fully au fait with Vocaloids, but I'm vaguely aware of them. I think as far as technology is concerned, speech synthesis is a very, very cool thing. I think the tech could be put to very good use in games, particularly RPGs or something with a lot of dialogue. If you pair that with like algorithmic generation of the script as well, you could have voice actors react to different things and you could have potentially trillions of lines of text that you could just generate on the fly instead of having to pay a voice actor to read. So speech synthesis is actually, and speech recognition as well to a lesser extent, could be very, very cool as far as immersiveness and interactivity is concerned in role-playing games. Anyway, I'm coming to the end of my footage, so I shall wrap up this bonus now. You will see Mad World again in my gore video, which, like I said, should come this weekend. Should be a good video. I've picked out lots of gory video games, and Mortal Kombat fans will be pleased to know that it has more than fair representation in the video. I'm quite excited about this production. It's an interesting twist on the first in the series, which was the brief history of video games in general. This one's a little bit more specific. I guess next bonus I'll have a better idea of how it was received, and we can take it from there. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.